All right, guys, how you doing? Welcome to this screencast. It's really just me reading this one page. So, what an exciting screencast for you! But let me tell you what this is. This is a essay that I had as a sample essay that came in a packet with autobiographical essays. And when I was looking over it, after I had assigned the apocalypse reflective essay, I said this would be a perfect essay for that prompt. So I'm going to read it to you and talk to you about it so you get some ideas of stuff you can do for this essay that I've assigned. So let's zoom in a little. Zoom. And start up here. So let me read it to you and then I'll point some stuff out. You'll even see that the packet had little comments about what the author was doing right. Now, once again, this essay is on your prompt for the reflective essay. It's pasted on the second page. So you can look at it there and review it there. Okay, let's read it. My very first memories from my childhood, unlike most people's, are not happy ones. They are not of playing on the swings with my friends, throwing food at the teacher at snack, nor are they of playing catch with my father. In fact, it's just the opposite. My very first memory involves walking into a gigantic courtroom. Everything seems to be gigantic when you're 3 years old, holding on to my mother's hand. All right, so one thing that they say this person's doing a good job so far is they're locating us into the incident or whatever they're talking about. So they're giving us some background. Uh, they're giving a little bit of an introduction and then kind of orienting us to where things are and what's going on. You're going to see that this specific essay is based on one day, like one event in this person's life. You can do that for your essay, but you don't have to. One thing that's nice about doing it is you tend to be able to give a little bit more detail and a little more specifics that make it interesting to read. So let's read a little further. Where are we going, Mommy? Are we going to see Daddy? I asked as curiously as any child would do. Yes, Aaron, we're going to see Daddy, my mother replied sadly. I guess I should have been more sad when I read that. Yes, Aaron, we're going to see Daddy, my mother replied sadly. My mother, my older brother Graham, and I entered the large courtroom while I was still clutching my mother's hand. A large wooden desk sat against the back wall. It appeared like a mountain against my infantile body, and I was shocked by the god dressed in a black cloak who sat behind it. I remembered the vast wooden floor beneath me, which seemed to go on forever, and I remember the ancient portraits of past heroes on the wall. Their proud and stout looks offered me little sympathy for the pain to come. Okay, so a couple things. Lots of good description here. We have great dialogue that locates us specifically, makes us kind of feel like we're part of the action here, and some great specific detail. Even like these comparisons of the judge to a god, because that's how he felt at the time. It's setting up a good mood as well as giving us good background. So here's what they say. They say it uses a wide range of descriptive strategies, including visual details of the scene, comparison, dialogue, and expressions. All right, let's keep going. After a short exploration of the building, I returned to my mother and brother and found that my father had finally arrived. I ran to him and held on to his legs for dear life. Hi, Daddy, I yelled, not understanding the surrounding circumstances. Can you boys please wait out in the waiting room? I need to discuss something with your parents for a couple of minutes, I heard God bellow in a loud and mighty voice. My brother, who was all grown up at the age of 6, took my hand and led me through the revolving wooden door. Although I had no idea of what was happening to my parents, my brother, and my entire way of life that I was used to, I think my brother did, although I have never actually asked him to this day. His sullen walk and gloomy face gave me my first clue, the clue that I caught years later that led me to believe that at the tender age of 6, Graham knew that his entire way of life would be different too. So there's a couple good things they're doing here. More dialogue, more specific things that people were saying and doing. Little details like how he explored the building a little bit. And then really good if this was an apocalyptic essay is these lines like, I had no idea what was happening to my entire way of life that I was used to. That his entire way of life would be different too. If you were writing this as the apocalypse essay, these would be great lines which show, look, my world was ending at this time. Little did I know. But little things like that tie the story into the prompt. So that's really good if you do stuff like that. All right, let's keep going. Suddenly, I saw the door swivel open slowly, and I saw my father rush to the bathroom around the corner. I knew exactly where the bathroom was after sitting in the waiting room all that time. Anyway, Graham followed my dad, and I, having nothing better to do, followed my brother. Up here, the big door opened to reveal a rather small but infinitely clean and unartistic white bathroom. I like this detail. The bathroom wasn't an artistic one, I guess. All right. My father, dressed in a very stylish and very professional suit and tie, had his back turned towards the door, and I remember hearing the echoes of his sobs vibrating from the walls. It still sends shivers down my back to think about it. Suddenly, he turned around, his big brown eyes filled with tears, and he knelt for us to hug him. He seemed to be squeezing the life out of me with his big muscular arms as both my brother and I felt the cold tears fall from his cheek onto ours. One thing you're noticing is we have a lot of, this says conveys emotional quality of the scene using rich visual detail. What it means is it's showing the way the father's feeling, the way the boys are even feeling, but never saying it. It wouldn't say, I saw my father in the bathroom and he was so sad. Instead, it describes what's going on and it delivers that emotion to us in a much more powerful way. Many of you probably already know what's going on here, but you'll notice that nothing in this commentary so far mentions why they're at the courtroom. I mean, I'll spoil it for you. I guess I won't spoil it for you if you really don't know. Well, let's read it and then you'll know after this. Finally, after 15 minutes of crying, we put ourselves together again, and Graham and I left. We got into the car, buckled our safety belts, and didn't say a word the entire ride home. What was Daddy so sad about, I thought. I'll ask him about it when we get home. But of course, I never got the chance. You see, what both my mother and father never explained to me was that my life from that point on would never be the same again. Here's that apocalyptic line. Good job, guy that didn't know he was writing an apocalypse essay. I would be torn from memories from my past, torn between two sets of parents, and torn between the lies that they would tell about each other. No one asked me how I felt. No one conferred with me to see if I objected. My life seemed to be ruined, and I had no say in it whatsoever. But I've learned to live with my pain and forgive my parents, because even though they weren't always there for me, I want to be a good son and always be there for them whenever they need me. My only hope is that they both know how much I still love them both. This clearly integrates the personal significance and impact of the incident into the narration. So what you have here is really a very good reflection section. What was the consequence of that moment? How did it change his life? If for our essay, this would be, how was it apocalyptic? And he does a really good job of actually talking about all the vast changes that happened to his life. So this would be a great essay for our apocalypse essay because it's got wonderful, rich detail that places us in this moment. It is very obviously connecting to the prompt of a great change that happened in this life, an apocalyptic moment. So this would be very strong. If you write yours, it doesn't have to be as focused on one specific moment as this one is. You can do a period of time. It could be over the length of a summer or something like that, but make sure you're not dragging things on too long until we don't know what is the real focus of the essay. But this is a good model to show you. So what you need to do now is go on to Google Classroom, and there's a reaction assignment to this, as well as a space for you to do some drafting, like brainstorm drafting for your own essay. All right, guys, I'll see you, next Zoom meeting. Have a good rest of your Wednesday.